Amongst other things, President Obama talked about gun control on Meet the Press this past Sunday morning. Now let's have a look at and parse what the Messiah in Chief had to say on Meet the Press.
Do you have the stomach for the political fight for new gun control laws?
You know, David, I think anybody who was up in Newtown, who talked to the parents, who talked to the families, uh, understands that something fundamental in America has to change.
Something fundamental has to change. Yes, and the fundamental is not too many guns, Mr. President, or weapons that fire too rapidly, or gun magazines that hold too many bullets. If you chase those things, Mr. President, nothing, absolutely nothing will happen. You are making statements right here that have absolutely no basis in reality.
And all of us have to do some soul searching, including me as president, that we allow a situation in which uh, 20 precious small children are getting gunned down in a classroom.
We allow 20 precious small children. Since when did we allow that, Mr. President? How utterly foolish. Since when have we allowed small children to be killed or gunned down in school classrooms? Maybe that happens in video games. I don't really know. But as far as I can remember, Mr. President, murder has been illegal for quite some time in the United States. Oh, I guess that is unless you are an American ambassador in Libya.
And I've been very clear that an assault rifle ban, banning these high capacity clips, background checks, that there's a set of issues that I have historically supported and will continue to support.
Mr. President, there was an assault weapons ban in Connecticut. There was an ammo magazine ban in Connecticut as well, Mr. President. Maybe you could explain to us what happened there.
You get it done. I mean, the
And,
politics is the
and,
question.
and so the question is, are we going to be able to have a national conversation and move something through Congress? I'd like to get it done in the first year.
A national conversation that would include exactly who, Mr. President? Just your liberal, gun-hating, Second Amendment destroying cronies, or people that maybe actually use guns, like law enforcement officials, hunters, concerned citizens that would like to be able to still defend themselves?
We'll put forward a very specific proposal based on the recommendations that Joe Biden's task force is putting together as we speak. And so this is not something that I will be putting off. But
The NRA says it's just not going to work. It didn't work before. It's not going to work now.
My response is something has to work.
Something has to work. Something has to work, Mr. President. So you're just going to propose something, anything, even things that you know already don't work, like the size of a gun magazine? You know that's not going to happen. I mean, you know that's not going to help. And there was a gun ban in Connecticut, an assault weapons ban in Connecticut. So why are you proposing things that you know won't work, Mr. President?
And it is not enough for us to say this is too hard, so we're not going to try. So what I intend to do is I will call all the stakeholders together. I will meet with Republicans. I will meet with Democrats. I will talk to anybody. I think there are a vast majority of responsible gun owners out there who recognize that we can't have a situation in which somebody with severe psychological problems is able to get the kind of high capacity weapons that this individual in Newtown.
Well, damn, Mr. President, we have someone who's a megalomaniac narcissist and doesn't listen to anything anyone has to say at all, and he somehow managed to be elected to president twice. Newsflash, Mr. President, the sane people aren't the ones committing these mass killings the last time I checked. Why don't we just make a law that says insane people aren't supposed to commit mass murder?
And gun down our kids. And yes, it's going to be hard.
Should we have an armed guard at every school in the country? That's what the NRA believes. They told me last week that could work.
I'm not going to prejudge the recommendations that are given to me. I am skeptical that the only answer is putting more guns in schools. And I think the vast majority of the American people are skeptical that somehow is going to solve our problem.
Mr. Obama, I thought you weren't going to prejudge recommendations. Gee whiz, it sounds like you just prejudged right there with you saying that you are skeptical and saying that the majority of Americans are skeptical when you don't really have a freaking clue.
And look, here's the bottom line. We're not going to get this done unless the American people decide it's important.
And I'm going to run a propaganda campaign morning, noon, and night until I convince them that it is important.
And so this is not going to be simply a matter of me spending political capital. One of the things that you learn, and now been in this office for 4 years, is the old adage of Abraham Lincoln's that with public opinion, there's nothing you can't do, and
Oh, he's
without
Abraham
public
Lincoln.
opinion, there's very little you can get done in this town. So I'm going to be putting forward a package, and I'm going to be putting my full weight behind it.
You're going to be putting your full weight behind it, really, just like you did this fake fiscal cliff nonsense that doesn't do a darn thing to actually cut spending. You're putting your full weight behind something you know won't have any impact on violent crimes in this country. Really, Mr. President, what exactly is your real agenda?
And I'm going to be making an argument to the American people about why this is important and why we have to do everything we can to make sure that something like what happened at Sandy Hook Elementary does not happen again. But ultimately, the way this is going to happen is because the American people say, that's right. We are willing to make different choices for the country, and we support those in Congress who...
I'm going to make sure you do support those in Congress because I'm going to run that big propaganda campaign, remember?
are willing to take those actions. And will there be resistance? Absolutely, there will be resistance. And the question then becomes...
You bet there's going to be resistance, Mr. President, but I'm sure I can bet you won't pay any attention at all to it.
Whether we are actually shook up enough by what happened here that it does not just become another one of these routine episodes where it gets a lot of attention for a couple of weeks and then it drifts away.
A routine episode? I'm not sure what's routine about 20 children being killed, but why don't you actually try something that will work instead of just giving us a bunch of crappy sound bites, Mr. President, that will do nothing? You know, Mr. President, you sound like a robot. Can you say anything different? Does it even matter that everything you propose will make no difference at all?
It certainly won't feel like that to me. This is something that, that was the worst day of my presidency. And it's not something that I want to see repeated.
It hit close to home.
Absolutely.
It hits close to home. It hits close to home. What the hell does that mean, David Gregory? Is that a softball question you guys rehearsed before you interviewed this clown? Close to home? The president sends his girls to a private school with Secret Service protection. And guess what? Those SS guys, they carry guns. Nice. Nice. We have a privileged Messiah-in-Chief telling the rest of the unwashed masses what's best for them. All I have to say in closing is this guy is the biggest hypocrite walking the face of the earth right now, and he sounds like a soundbite robot, and he's going to tell us what's best, and that we no longer need certain kinds of guns. Watch out, folks. He isn't pushing his ideas. He has an agenda. An agenda.